The Rangers and Orioles offenses have stormed out of the gates since the All-Star break, each averaging nearly 7 runs per game. But last night, Texas rained down a season high in runs, hits, and walks that simply overwhelmed the Orioles. Tonight, a pair of rookies face off, looking to calm the waters in Arlington. Rangers baseball is presented by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. And it is a warm evening here today in Arlington, getting ready for the second game of this series as folks get their weekend started out of the ballpark. Orioles, Rangers from Globe Life Park. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Dave Ramit alongside Mr. Ranger Tom Grieve. Great pleasure to be with you tonight. This is the Rangers playing some great baseball lately, and in fact yesterday a 17-8 victory in the opener. You know, you're overwhelmed by the numbers that the Rangers put up, but you can't forget the 8 runs put up by Baltimore. These are two offenses right now, Tom, really clicking.
Since the All-Star break, they're both almost identical. Each team is scoring just about 7 runs a game. Last night there was 5 home runs in that 17-8 game. Jurickson Profar, a 3-run shot into the upper deck. Mark Trumbo, a 2-run home run in the 5th. Caleb Joseph, a 2-run shot in the 6th. Rugi, bottom of the 6th, a 2-run shot, and Joey Gallo leading off the 7th, another one of his own. A lot of hits, a lot of home runs, a lot of runs. 2 hot offenses right now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch last night, and now tonight we really look forward to seeing Ariel Jurado making his 3rd start for the Rangers.
Yeah, it's been so impressive watching him in that last start in Houston. A lot of strikes, a lot of movement. He's from Panama. He signed in 2012. 2015 Nolan Ryan Minor League Pitcher of the Year. He's only 22 years old, but he has the appearance and the pitching presence of someone much older. He's not overpowering with velocity, but he's got good command and good movement, gets a lot of ground balls. What the Rangers are looking for is consistency. In the minor leagues this year, he only walked 1.5 batters per 9 innings. So he throws a lot of strikes. Nice game to build on against a really good Astros team.
He was outstanding in that ball game, and we really saw command of the pitches, maybe that we didn't quite see his first time out against the White Sox earlier this year. Now he's also hoping to get some of that run support that's been going around lately, and that means that perhaps another big night from Rougned Odor. He has been as hot as any hitter in the American League of late. We'll put Rugi in the spotlight when we come back. Rangers baseball is sponsored by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. By Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. And by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. No hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. Just about ready for baseball tonight. Second game of this 4-game series. Orioles and Rangers. We're talking about Rougned Odor, and we put him in our Shiner Light Blonde spotlight tonight.
Well, it really was an amazing game last night, especially for Rugi. First player in Major League Baseball history who had 5 unintentional walks and a home run in the same game. He had 5 walks last night. He had 6 in the first 2 months of the season.
Now, pretty amazing. He is on some kind of tear right now. For a little more on Rugi, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, Rugi's turnaround has really been one of the highlights of what's been a disappointing season record-wise for these Texas Rangers. We all know that baseball is not an easy game, but to make those adjustments mid-season and to make the drastic adjustments that Rugi did and to turn it around the way he has is nothing short of remarkable, and it comes because of the hard work that he put in. We've documented it at length as far as the what he did with Tony Beasley, putting in the work before games, the guys he reached out to get advice from. But in talking to Rudy now, he knows that the most important thing is to continue all of those things, to continue that dialogue, to continue the extra work, so he doesn't get back down to the place that he was earlier this season, that he's able to maintain, maybe not necessarily this high level of play, but at least to have a more even keel throughout the remainder of the season. So that's the challenge for him now, is to not let off the gas, so to speak, in terms of the work and the input that he's getting from others and the self-evaluation that's taking place.
Yeah, what do they say, Tom? You know, it's difficult to get to the big leagues. It's harder to stay.
Yeah, because it's constant adjustments. The pitchers catch up with the hitters and vice versa, and each one of them has to make adjustments throughout their career. And man, as Emily said, it's, I won't say unusual, but it's very, very nice to see what Rudy's been able to accomplish.
Pretty special so far this year for him. So let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Orioles. 33 and 76 coming into play today. Jonathan Villar leading it off at second base. Tim Beckham, the shortstop, bats second. Then it's Adam Jones in center field. Mark Trumbo, the DH, and Chris Davis at first base, bats fifth. Trey Mancini, Renato Nunez, Jace Peterson in right field, and then Caleb Joseph, the catcher, bats ninth.
Let's take a look at our Shiner arsenal for Ariel Jurado. And a very nice game in Houston. Likes to throw his sinker. That's a two-seam fastball, and he throws it 66% of the time. Doesn't throw a lot of changeups, a lot of curveballs, four-seam fastball. Slider's probably his next most common pitch, but basically, if he's throwing well, it's that two-seam sinker that he uses good command and good movement to get his outs with.
Well, he gets us started tonight. Ball one just below the zone to Jonathan Villar. 97 degrees here at game time tonight. First pitch at 7:08 Central Time, and that fastball a little bit off the plate as well. It's 2-0. Well, he fell behind quite a bit down in Houston in that start, but would battle his way back. And then, even despite being in what we call hitters counts against some very good hitters, he was getting weak contact. And this is a hitter's count, and the 2-1 fouled away by Villar.
Yeah, and you could probably make a case that this start today against the Orioles is more of a challenge than the one against the Astros. The Astros are obviously a very good team, but right now, the way the Orioles are swinging the bats, they've had 15 hits or more in 4 out of 6 games, scored 8 runs in last night's game. So they're hitting the ball, scoring runs, even with the trades they've made. So this will be a good test for Ariel tonight.
It's 2-2 to Villar. Ooh, just a little bit low. Villar yesterday went 2 for 5. You look at the last 8 games for Baltimore, pretty impressive numbers all the way around, and Villar shanks this one over to the left side, fouling out of play. So Tom, last start that Jurado had down in Houston, we took note of that sinker that he throws a lot, and CJ used the terminology, and we hear it a lot, right? It's a heavy sinker. The year hitters talk about that sometimes. This one lined out to left field and right to Willie Calhoun. So help articulate it as a guy who used to hit against sinkers. What exactly that means?
It's hard to explain scientifically what a heavy ball means. We used to have a catcher named Paul Casanova, and no one wanted to play catch with him. It's not that he threw it a lot harder than everybody else. It must have had something to do with the spin, and it had a little bit of movement, and it seemed like it was hard to catch his ball right in the middle of the pocket of your glove. But when you did, it felt like a heavier baseball than a normal baseball. Other guys throw a four-seam ball without that same kind of spin, and it feels like you're catching a lighter baseball. So it must have something to do with the spin. Again, not being a scientist. And I think when you throw that kind of a pitch, a lot of times people will make the remark, boy, he hit that ball like he was hitting a shot put. Or a hitter might say, it felt like I was hitting a shot put. Well, it's no heavier than a normal baseball, and the only thing I can think of that would cause that is not velocity, because plenty of guys throw 95 to 100 miles an hour. Must have something to do with the spin, the two-seam sinking action of the ball is all I can think of.
You can see it. I mean, Villar, when he fouled off a couple, almost looks like it knocks the bat out of the hand or something.
Yeah, and I thought that the Orioles hit a couple of balls like that last night against Eddie Butler, where it looked like they took good swings, and the ball didn't go anywhere. And so maybe that was the same thing that was happening on those pitches. The other thing that happens when you've got that kind of movement on a sinker is the ball hits the barrel of the bat less. The movement brings it down toward the handle a little bit to a right-hand hitter and a little bit off the end of the bat to a left-hand hitter. And so you get that same effect. I'm not sure what the difference would be if you hit it right on the barrel of the bat. My guess is it's probably going to jump one way or the other.
Well, Beckham ends up with a base hit, rolls that one right up the middle. And so a base runner on for Adam Jones. .283 average for Jones. 11 home runs this year, 44 driven in, and he'll turn that one foul.
And not surprising that Jones swings early in the count. He likes to swing the bat. He only walked 16 times this year. 421 at bats.
Swings at the next pitch as well. And it's a routine fly ball.
That's one of those balls right there that we're talking about. Big swing and splat and a little lazy fly ball to right field. The Rangers defense is delivered to you by Chicken Express. Willie Calhoun is in left. Joey Gallo is in right. Carlos Tocci's in center. Delano DeShields was scratched because of headaches. Adrian Beltre, Ronald Guzman at the corners. Elvis Andrus, Rougned Odor up the middle, and back behind the plate is Robinson Chirinos.
So with 2 away, Mark Trumbo, and he takes strike one. You can see already, for those maybe getting their first look at Ariel Jurado, you see the velocity, 92, 91 oftentimes with that fastball. It pops that glove a little bit. And the contact so far not real impressive yet by these Orioles. 0-2 the count now on Trumbo.
That looked like a nice changeup right there. Yeah, he's like a younger, poor man's version of Bartolo Colon. A little bit more velocity, obviously a lot younger, but kind of the same concept. Throw a lot of sinkers, hit your location, get good movement, get quick outs. He must have gotten a lot of quick outs the last game. He only had to throw 76 pitches in 6 innings in that game.
Yeah, one of those where we wondered, well, maybe he would come back out again for 7th inning. The pitch count was so well in check. But I think maybe the inning prior, the 5th inning, might have been kind of a longer one, closer to 30 pitches. 0-2 and a swing and a miss. Strikes out Trumbo, his first strikeout of the evening. So the Orioles get a hit but can't do anything with it. And now the Rangers come to bat. Rangers 47 and 63 in our Southwest Airlines starting lineup. Shin-Soo Choo leading it off at DH. Rougned Odor bats second. Elvis Andrus batting third and playing shortstop. Then it's Beltre, Gallo, and Chirinos in the middle of things. Ronald Guzman at first base bats 7th. Calhoun in left, and Carlos Tocci added to the lineup, batting 9th and playing center field. David Hess, 24-year-old right-hander, 2 wins, 5 losses, and a .594 ERA. And his first pitch, just a little bit low, ball 1. Two with the 20 home runs now. And he hits this ball hard the other way, but Mancini is there, 1 away.
And for David Hess, we'll look at our Shiner pitch arsenal. 4-seam fastball, kind of the opposite of Ariel Jurado. He throws almost the same percentage of 2-seam fastballs. Pretty straight fastball, the 4-seamer is. A lot of sliders, changeup, and occasionally a curveball. Generally, the 2-seam fastball is what you would call a sinking fastball. Because of the spin and the seams on the ball, it gets more movement than a 4-seam fastball, a little bit straighter.
Now the rookie's first pitch to Odor, up and away for a ball. Great numbers for Rugi all of a sudden, and a night last night unforgettable and historic. And he takes ball 2. Last night, the home run and 5 walks, none of them intentional. And that's the first time that has ever happened in Major League history, that in a 9-inning game, for that matter, a game of any length, that a guy would have walked 5 times, all of them unintentional, and homered. And he rolls this one out into right field for a base hit.
Well, Rudy's just in one of those zones right now. If it's not a strike, he takes it, and when it is a strike, he rips it. That ball was not that far away from the infielder. You see the 4-seam fastball. Ruby 2-0 looking fastball. Ripped that ball into right field.
Yeah, they stack
I think, Dave, if I was going to pick the player that I thought would walk 5 unintentional times and hit a home run, I'd have to go with Mike Trout.
Yep.
Maybe Albert Pujols, someone like that. Sin-Chu Chu might be a candidate. I mean, there's a lot of candidates in the league. Rugi would not be one of them. Not because of the home run, just because of the 5 walks. Mentioned in our spotlight right when we started that he walked 6 times in the first 2 months of the season and 5 times last night. Well, that's a huge turnaround.
He's on for Andrews. The 1-strike pitch. Elvis tried to stop himself, and that tapper knocked down by Hess is to the first. That one gets away. Odor will head to third. Andrews stays put. Odor rounds, and he'll come to the plate. Now they might make him go back to third base. It appears that perhaps a fan or somebody interfered with it down there. We'll wait and see. Steve Buechele was having quite the conversation with Mike Estabrook, the first base umpire, and now let's take another look.
He's probably going to go as a base hit. Looked like Elvis was going to be safe. The ball obviously got by the first baseman. Let's see what happened to it.
There's Buck Showalter out there to talk about it. Odor saw it all the way and figured, yeah, no problem. I'll score.
The pitcher can't make the play. Elvis is going to be safe. The ball gets by the first baseman. And is he probably saying that Elvis had contact with the first baseman? Did he get in the way, prevent Chris Davis from getting the ball in time?
Well, that
doesn't look like the argument worked very well.
No, it did not. And the run is going to count. If anything, to me, that would go the other way. With the collision
way of Elvis, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, Elvis might well have gone to second base. It'll be 2 errors charged to Hess. So the first error allowing Andrews to reach, so no base hit. The second error on the throw that then allowed Odor to come in.
See, I thought it might have been an infield hit. It looked like Elvis was going to beat that ball out.
I'm with you. Okay.
Once it kicked off the pitcher's glove and he was so off balance, he couldn't get much on his throw from that position. The throw bounced. I think if Chris Davis had caught that ball at first base, that Elvis would have been safe.
(2-0). And that one fouled away. So 1-0 Rangers on top. Adrian, see his numbers, 2 for 5 last night, and he's been stacking up a lot of multi-hit games lately. Picking up these hits in bunches.
You know, the other possibility for the way that the official scorekeeper saw that play was he might have thought it was an error because the pitcher didn't catch it. It wasn't hit very hard. I think generally the pitcher gets the benefit of the doubt, but that was just a little slow tapper back to the mound.
Yeah, I think he got an error for that little tap of the glove. And then for slinging it. 2-2. And this ball lifted foul out of play. Adrian at home this year, .341 average, and that's his 7th best home average in the American League. Couple of home runs. Mentioned the multiple hits in a game. He's done that now 4 times in the last 7 games, 2 times yesterday with a walk. It's a little in. It's a full count. Hess, meanwhile, just a rookie, 24 years old, the right-hander. Part of the trouble for him has been the long ball. More than half of the runs he has allowed this year have come via the home run, and now time called by Caleb Joseph.
He's not overpowering with velocity, and he has a 4-seam fastball which is pretty straight. So he's going to have really good command or good off-speed pitches to go with it to keep the hitters off that fastball.
Andrus running. This ball hit well, high in the air, out to right field. Peterson backpedals onto the warning track to make the catch, and there are 2 gone.
The Orioles defense is sponsored by Jack in the Box. Check out the outfield. Trey Mancini, Adam Jones, Jace Peterson made a nice play on that fly ball from Adrian. Renato Nunez at third, Chris Davis at first, Tim Beckham at shortstop. Jonathan Villar will play second behind the plate. The hot hitting Caleb Joseph.
A couple out now for Joey Gallo. 27 home runs now for Joey. 91 RBIs. And he'll take ball 1. Pardon me, 61 RBIs. Get a little ahead of myself there.
Joey had a pretty good day yesterday.
Yeah. Lately the home runs have started to accumulate a little bit for him. 6 home runs now in the last 13 games. And he's finding himself more and more in good hitters counts like this. You see the shift. Orioles obviously playing him to pull on the infield, and Villar pretty deep out there in the grass and right. This ball hit well out to center field. Jones, though, will have room. So the inning is done. The Rangers, though, get an unearned run, and they'll take it. After 1 inning, the Rangers won and the Orioles nothing. (9-7-2) Rangers. All right, here is Davis. And Dorado goes after him low with ball 1. Dorado with 17 pitches so far here tonight, 16 in the first inning. And a lot of what we have seen so far has been down at the bottom of the zone or below it, which is also really typical of a good sinker ball pitcher. 2-seamer. That one in there for a strike, 2-1. It's been a struggle this year for Chris Davis, and he'll roll this one on the ground out into short right field. Odor with the long throw, and it's picked out nicely at first base by Guzman. Davis retired to start the 2nd inning.
Just play after play that we're watching Rugi make, and one thing you have to be able to do is make that kind of play when you're playing out in right field against a left-handed pull hitter. If it's hit to your right, you've got to go a long way, but then you have to have an exceptionally strong arm for a second baseman. You're so far out in the outfield, your momentum's taking you towards center field, and you can see Rugi perform everything he needed to do in that play to get Chris Davis at first base. One right after the other. Nice plays by Rugi.
And Trey Mancini on the first pitch. Lofts it out there to center field. 2 away. Well, let's pause here just a moment for a word from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
2 away now for Renato Nunez. Ariel Jurado off to a really good start here in the 2nd inning. A couple of quick outs. That was definitely one of the things he did a couple of times in Houston. A handful of those innings were like sub-10 pitches. One strike pitch, and that one was outside. Banny noticed about Jurado, you know, the good pace with which he pitches. But the last start against Houston, one of the things he noticed was, he said, look, you know, guys, they come up to the big leagues and they think, well, I got to show my whole mix, right? I got to give them the breaking ball, the change up, throw my fastball. He said last time, he said with a good sinker ball pitcher, you'd like to think, hey, if the sinker's working, just let them prove it different. And he did that last time. He was extremely successful with the sinker and just used it over and over like he did right there. And Nunez rolls out to short, and that's a 9-pitch half inning for Jurado. 1.5 in, Rangers lead 1-0. Well, 1-0. Rangers with the early lead. And Gallo Chirinos, our TXU Energy power player to watch. He'll lead things off here in the 2nd inning. How about this? Since the All-Star break, his .950 slugging percentage against fastballs, that's best in baseball. Not among catchers, not just in the league, the best in baseball. So that would make me think that maybe Hess would go with something else, and he goes with a breaking ball right out of the gate. You know, Elvis not doing too poorly either against the fastballs. You can see there, and 800 slugging since the All-Star break.
Robinson, in his last 23 games, has hit 6 home runs and knocked in 23 runs, a run per game. And he is a streaky hitter. And when he gets hot, that ball really jumps off his bat. He's got excellent power. Pretty patient at the plate, too.
Two 2-0 the count. Good hitter's count here for him. And he pokes that one opposite way foul out of play. And Chirinos now has reached base safely in 12 of the last 13 games. He's homered in 6 of the last 22 games. There are a lot of ways you can break up the numbers for him to illustrate just how well he's hitting the baseball. But the bottom line is, no matter how you do it, they come out looking pretty good. Now this little pop up near the mound, handled by Beckham, one away.
And Robinson will probably regret popping that ball up. He had a good swing at it. Good pitch to hit. Just got underneath it a little bit.
Now one away, and we'll bring up Ronald Guzman. So a couple of rookies going head to head here. Guzman with good numbers so far this year in his rookie campaign, and he hits this ball well, but foul for strike one. He's fallen on slightly harder times lately. 4 hits in his last 34 at bats, and getting spelled maybe a little more regularly over at first base. We've seen Profar getting a handful of starts there in the last couple of weeks. Guzman did not play yesterday. But ahead here, 2-1. Guzman made his Rangers debut, his big league debut, back in April, and has been with the team since. At the time, we didn't know that that would be the case. He lays off a close one there. Full count. When he came up, we thought, oh, who knows? A week or two, maybe a couple of days. Hard to say. But he's going to end up spending the rest of the year with the club. And he swings right through this one, and a strikeout is the second out of the inning. Well, Sunday, the final day of this series, Rangers and Orioles will play at 2:05, and the first 15,000 fans get a Ted Williams first Rangers manager bobblehead, courtesy of Sweet Baby Ray's. And you can get tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Great luncheon today. You handled the roundtable discussion about Ted Williams.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I want to thank Eddie Robinson for being part of that. My old roommate Rich Billings, and our trainer from back then, a good friend of mine, Bill Ziegler. All three of those guys did a great job reminiscing about their memories of Ted. Loved the one we happened to be in Boston when the Red Sox celebrated the 50th anniversary of him hitting .406, and so we had a front row seat watching Ted address the crowd. And he borrowed Jeff Reardon's hat. Jeff was a pitcher for the Red Sox then, and he was notorious for never tipping his hat to the fans. I think early in his career he was booed a little bit, not a lot. He was sensitive, took it personally, and just stopped doing it no matter what the occasion. But on this day he gave a beautiful talk to the fans, thanked them, and said, "I want everybody in New England to know that I do like the fans," and he tipped his hat to them. It was really an emotional moment, if not for him, for a lot of us watching. And so Zig told that story, and there were so many other stories that we could have told and didn't have time, but Rich, Zig, and Eddie Robinson did a great job, so I want to thank all of them for coming here and doing that.
You got to know Ted pretty well. You played for him.
Yeah.
And we were talking yesterday, again, kind of off the air. We're looking back at some of the numbers and the great career. And he fancied himself one of the best, if not the best hitter of all time. We'll get more into that in a moment. Might well have been the best hitter of all time. 1-2-3, second inning for Hess. We'll go to the third. Rangers up 1-0. This one's some good pitching so far tonight. 1-0 Rangers. Our Kubota power stats. Well, Rangers pitching this year allowing 2.97, or issuing, perhaps better said, 2.97 walks per 9 innings, and that's the 5th fewest in the American League this year. And obviously the right progression year by year. Great improvement over last season when that was such a part of the story of the Rangers' struggles.
There's 3 of the starters right there responsible for that number.
Toronto skips that one up there, 2-1.
Corrado's definitely that kind of pitcher. Mentioned this during the open, that he's walked this year in the minor leagues only 1.5 batters per 9 innings. That's exceptional. It stands to reason it might go up a little bit in the big leagues, just because you have to be a little more careful. There's more guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark here than there were in the Texas League. But still, that's a big part of his success.
He's just 22 years old, and he walks Peterson to start this 3rd inning. All right, let's change the subject. About a Chevy game break. Where's John Radigan? MVP, Steve Pearce. you heard it here first. You'll probably never hear it again.
Player of the week this week, maybe.
Well, nice, really nice addition though for the Red Sox. It made some pretty interesting moves, some really good moves for a team that is already great. Peterson is on. Here's Caleb Joseph.
Ian Kinsler evidently had some kind of a minor leg issue and had to come out of the game, and Mookie Betts came from the outfield to play second base. Evidently he was a second baseman when he first signed.
Let's see, there was a day where they talked about how he would be an excellent, maybe Gold Glove level second baseman one day.
And he moved to the outfield, and that's what he has become in the outfield, and he certainly hits enough to play in the outfield. So Wherever they want to play him, he's a great player.
Well, Irado, who's adept at getting ground balls, would love one here with a catcher running. Maybe a chance to get a double play. A little tight.
Yeah, you're talking about Ted Williams, Dave, and a lot of people would recognize him as the greatest hitter ever. And people that are young enough not to remember him, or even other people that do remember him, might say, well, he was a great hitter. But you're talking in all of baseball, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds. I mean, there have been some great hitters. But then when you get out his statistics and look at him, you come away saying, you know what, he might have been the greatest hitter that ever lived. He was 22 years old when he hit 406. His on base percentage that year with 147 walks was something like 550. He only had 460 plate appearances because of those walks. He has the all-time record in Major League Baseball history for on base percentage. His lifetime on base percentage was 484. And then the clincher for me is he was a highly decorated pilot, World War II and the Korean War. In fact, his wingman a lot of the time was John Glenn, the astronaut, who said that Ted was one of the best pilots he ever flew with. And if you take those 5 years and just give him his average numbers for those 5 years, he comes away with just about 700 plus home runs. So he would have been knocking on the door of the all-time home run record at the time. He would have obliterated the RBI record by 200 or 300, the walk record, and a lot of other records for that matter.
Ground ball third base. Beltre to second one. Odor with the throw to first in time for the double play. Rangers go around the horn. 5-4 to 3.
Yeah, an easy double play. Looked like it, but hardly, especially when you watch Ruge and what he had to do to get out of the way of Jace Peterson, who was bearing down on him at second base. Adrian gets rid of it, but watch Ruge. He has to sidestep Peterson sliding, jump, and throw off balance, and got it over there in time. It's just over the last 6 weeks, it's been hard to find anything. I know we're talking about it 3 or 4 times a game, but it's just so much fun to see and talk about. Finding anything he's done wrong in the last 6 weeks. Obviously, he's not going to get hit 100% of the time. He's going to strike out occasionally, but day in and day out, he's just playing great baseball right now. So yeah, when you look at the numbers, Dave, I think you can easily come away and say, you know what, he was one of the greatest, if not the greatest hitter of all time.
Yeah, his overall numbers, his year by year, the length of that career, as you point out, the time he missed in the service. Chopper down the first baseline, foul. Ball and 2 strikes. How about this? You were mentioning that year when he was 22 years old. At 406, you know, great season, obviously one of the all-timers. So, you know, he's a kid. Goes to the service several years later, comes back, plays in the big leagues for a long while, and in his age 38 season, his on-base average was 526. Hit 388 that year with 38 home runs at 38 years old.
Pretty amazing. So many things in his career. The home run to win the All-Star game. But the home run in his last at bat at Fenway has to be right up there. I don't know if it was his greatest thrill, but for a lot of Red Sox fans and Ted Williams fans, it culminated an incredible career with one of the greatest thrills. Everyone knew it was his last at bat at Fenway Park. And in that at bat, I listened to it. There was a tremendous documentary about him on PBS just recently. And he talked about that. And he said, yeah, you know, a pitcher, I think it was Eddie Fisher, he threw a fastball by me. I have no idea to this day how I missed that fastball. But you know what? I said to myself, he thinks he can throw that fastball by me. And doggone it, I would look for it the next pitch, and that's the one I hit out of the ballpark. I don't know how I missed that first one, but I didn't miss that second one. That was his last at bat at Fenway Park. But if you're even interested in baseball and Ted Williams, figure out a way to watch that documentary. It was just tremendous.
So Steve Hunt, our statistician, tells me that you can watch it online.
Oh, like can you?
At like pbs.org.
Well, by all means, if you have a chance, I doubt very much that you'll be disappointed at all. And it's more than just him hitting home runs. It's a lot about him personally, his relationship with his family, his kids, the fans, the sports writers. It has that Ted Williams Day at Fenway Park where he gave the speech and tipped his hat. Just really, I've watched it twice. Bill Ziegler, who is the all-time encyclopedia of everything Ted Williams, told me he's watched it 6 times already. He's not erasing it. He watches it anytime he doesn't have anything to do. He goes in and watches it again.
So of course I never got to see him play, and I'm sure many people in our audience never got that opportunity to see him play. One of the great memories for me was that '99 All-Star game in Boston.
Yeah.
When he came out and again acknowledged the crowd, and all the All-Stars converged out at the mound with him.
They wouldn't leave. They wouldn't leave.
That was one of the greatest, I don't know, pregame just baseball moments that I'd seen on TV.
Yeah.
And
it was hard not to choke up watching that. The way the current players, who most of whom had never seen him play, responded to him, and how that must have made him feel at that stage of his life.
Good pickoff move over to first.
Pretty close.
So you're right. None of those guys probably would have seen him play. You know, I saw an interview pretty recently with Joey Votto. He carries with him the Science of Hitting, Ted Williams' book on hitting. He carries it with him all the time. He says he references it all the time. It basically is his philosophy on hitting as a professional now. As a bouncer third. Nice pick by Beltre. Quick throw to first in time to get Beckham. And that's another beauty by Adrian Beltre down at third. And a good defensive inning by the Rangers. 2.5 in. Rangers lead 1-0.
Orioles here in the bottom of the 30s. We welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington. Time for our progressive fan of the game. It is Mary Ella Cox, who is celebrating her 97th birthday, which is later this month, getting a head start on it by being here at the Ranger game. I understand you watch the games at home a lot, don't you? Why?
Yes.
Yeah. It helps you to pass the time. How entertaining is it?
It does. It does.
Can you give me some secrets to how you can look so good at 97 and be so sharp?
I don't know. I guess that's just natural.
I guess the rest of us are out of luck. Mary Ella, you are in luck. Congratulations on being the fan of the game, and happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Very welcome, guys.
And what I found, Dave, is a lot of people her age and even a little bit younger watch my broadcasts because they say it really helps them get to sleep. Wanda in the press dining room says that to me all the time. I was having a hard time sleeping last night. I turned on the game and fell right to sleep.
Yep. Well, it's a little service we like to provide.
Yep. Glad we can help.
Tochi, a big swing here. This one hanging up out there to left center field and carries all the way to the wall and bounces over it.
That's a bad break. That would have been a triple.
Now with Tochi's speed, no doubt, but he'll take the automatic double. And a good start to the 3rd inning.
Yeah, the outfield, they were not playing deep. And even though it was a high fly ball, neither Mancini nor Jones could get to it. Looked like Tochi thought he was going to make an out on that play. Got underneath it. But they can't get to it. It's hit right between them, right off the warning track. If it short hops the wall, it turns into an extra base hit. I mean, into a triple. Already is an extra base hit.
He's out there in scoring position for Chu. Chu lined out to left field. He's 0 for 1. Yesterday, the Rangers were 8 for 17 with runners in scoring position. That's pretty good. And that one turns Chu away from the plate. 1-1. In fact, that's a number, a trend that has really turned back into the Rangers' favor. And before the All-Star break, it was a struggle. Just a .222 average with runners in scoring position. Since the All-Star break, .308. One of the tops in the league. So now an advantageous count for Chu. That's working out of the stretch. And that one a little bit high, 3-1.
Well, one thing we've seen from Hess so far this game, he throws a four-seam fastball. I think a lot of times you like to throw your four-seam fastball high. Sometimes with a high spin rate, that ball seems to jump a little bit to the hitter. And so you can have a good effect with a high fastball, four-seam fastball, even if it's not 100 miles an hour, by keeping it up in the zone. And it looks like that's part of his game plan.
This one popped up into left field. Mancini waiting on it. One away. So that brings up Rougned Odor. Our WinStar World Casino and Resort leaderboard shows Rugi with 39 total bases since the All-Star break. And that has him 5th highest in baseball. One for one tonight with a base hit. Had the home run yesterday. Don't get credit when you walk for that base that you pick up, which is a shame because he had 9 bases last night with 1 swing of the bat. The 5 walks in the homer. And this one really tells the story that we've been talking about a lot, Tom, right there.
I guess so. You know, if you say 41 games is 25% of the season, pretty obvious what happens when you multiply those numbers by 4 and see what kind of a season it would be for him. And it doesn't mean that over 160 games you're going to be able to duplicate the hottest part of your season, but something we do anyway. The point is, he's played great baseball for about a month and a half. Got his on base percentage up over 350 now. It was under 300 at the end of June.
1-1. And he'll lift that one foul out of play.
Again, a lot of high fastballs. It'd be interesting to see second, third time through the lineup if the Rangers get a little more accustomed to him. They're facing him for the first time. That can be a little bit of an adjustment. But as you said earlier, Dave, he is prone to the home run. He, coming into the game, had given up 11 home runs in 50 innings. Pretty high rate.
Yeah, the home run has really hurt him a lot this year. Now, it's coming at a much higher rate in the big leagues than it did in the minors. Was a lot better in the minor leagues in that regard. 1-2. Oh, when he gets strike 3 called, Odor down looking, 2 away. Well, a Coca-Cola family pack offers savings of over 50% on tickets, food, Kid Zone access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. It's a great way to see the Rangers and Mariners Monday through Wednesday of next week. Just go to TexasRangers.com/specials. Should be a fun series. Seattle in town Monday night, Tuesday night, and then Wednesday afternoon. Mariners have had such a great season, but are starting to lose a hold of their wild card spot. Oakland has been charging right up behind them. In fact, Oakland has passed them. Andrus reached on the error. He takes strike 1. He didn't like that call. David Hess, Mitchell, the rookie, 24 years old, from West Virginia. And he was a guy who pitched his college ball at Tennessee Tech. And he was one of those guys, he had one of those majors that leaves you shaking your head as this one lined to short and snared by Beckham to win the inning. More on that a little later. Inning done. Rangers got a leadoff double, but left him out there, and we head to the 4th inning, 1-0.
By AWS and put some defensive metrics on the Rangers. Rugi took less than a second to get rid of that ball. Adrian And Rugi turn a double play again. Less than a second to get rid of that ball. And Adrian, a beautiful backhand play. Had to throw that ball across the diamond 127 feet to get that out. We have the metrics for hitting. We have them for fielding, too. Fun to look at those numbers. Yeah, it's fun to watch the Rangers play defense tonight. And, you know, Ariel Jurado is not a strikeout pitcher. He's a ground ball pitcher. And so when you're getting the ground balls, it's really important to have good defense behind you to convert those ground balls into outs. And through 3 innings, he's had 3 very nice plays by his infield.
1-1. It's a little bit in on Adam Jones. He's got a first pitch strike in to 9 of the 12 hitters he has faced so far today. But a hitter's count for Jones, and he hits this ball hard into left field. That's a base hit. So the Orioles have the lead man on here in the 4th inning.
Well, it was a hitter's count. He did get a fastball, and he hit pretty much the center of the plate. Didn't get as much movement as he normally gets. And so Jones was right on it.
So a base runner for Baltimore. And now Mark Trumbo. Again, a spot where Jurado, I don't know that it would affect terribly how he goes after Mark Trumbo, but I'm sure he's thinking, yeah, ground ball here would be great. Trumbo has hit into 8 double plays this season, so not immune to it. Trumbo struck out in the 1st inning, 0 for 1 tonight. Look at Trumbo's numbers with runners on base. For some reason, that has caused him some trouble this year. It's 100 points higher when he's up there with the bases empty. I would always figure that to be a little bit the inverse. A distraction on the part of the pitcher, etc. Stays 1-2.
Trumbo is a pretty good high fastball hitter. He's kind of like Jones. He's a hitter that doesn't walk very much, expands the zone, hits a lot of balls out of the strike zone. Not a huge strikeout guy. He's not a guy that's going to strike out 200 times, 180 times.
Little low, 2-2.
He definitely likes to hit the fastball. If you're going to throw your fastball, keep it down and away. As a matter of fact, his first time up, he swung and missed to strike out on a fastball in that 091 zone. Up and in or down and away. In fact, I think if you asked any old-time baseball pitcher, how do you get a hitter out? He'd say, I throw him up and in, down and away. That's generally a formula that's been used since the advent of the game to get a hitter out. Obviously, there's nuances to it and exceptions, but I think basically if you can throw your fastball up and in to keep a hitter off the plate and then locate it well down and away, you're going to have success.
7th pitch of the at-bat, and a bouncer, shortstop. Andrews backs up a step to second one. The relay, 2. Double play. The 6-4-3. So once again, when he needed it, Jurado able to get it.
Let's go back and look at Trumbo and take a look. We talked about that cold zone down and away where he hits 091. Well, here's his first time up, and there is that cold zone down and away for strike 3. What are we looking at? Same thing. That one wasn't quite as far down, but it's away. Trumbo had to reach for it and taps a little ground ball to shortstop to get the double play. So if we show those things on the board, Dave, Rest assured that the players have even better information that's telling them the same thing. Not a secret. We don't have proprietary rights to those kind of numbers. I think both Chirinos and Gerardo know that when they're pitching to Trumbo, to have the most success, locating that fastball down and away is the way to do it. And the other side of it is Trumbo knows that too. And a lot of times it's easier said than done. You can know exactly what you're supposed to do as a pitcher, but you still have to execute it. And it's pretty impossible to throw it exactly where you want to every time. Pitchers could do that. It'd be a boring game because there wouldn't be a whole lot of hitting going on.
3-1 the count to Chris Davis, who grounded out in the 2nd inning. Davis showing some positive signs for the Orioles the last week or so. Last 7 games has hit 3 home runs. And he's walked 7 times in that stretch. Full count now on the big left-handed slugger. He's been a tough one to figure out. At times, one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. A couple years ago, 47 home runs. That was in 2015. Hit 38 the next year. Strikeouts always have been a big part of his game. Davis, who grew up just a little east of here in Longview, now makes his offseason home in Dallas. And he foul tips that one into the glove, and strike 3 ends the inning. So Colorado for another goose egg. And when we come back, Adrian Beltre will start things off at the bottom of the 4th. Rangers lead 1-0. Inning. But this, the Orioles recent Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. You see his numbers on the left. Adrian Beltre, future Hall of Famer for the Rangers, on the right. Those numbers are awfully similar. More Gold Gloves for Beltre. Of course, Ripken played in a few more consecutive games.
Yeah, and
both guys are the guys who, you know, they answered the bell every day.
They did. Cal was a terrific shortstop, won a couple of Gold Gloves there. As good as he was, I'd have to give the nod defensively to Adrian. Although I guess it's not fair to compare a third baseman to a shortstop. Let's just say one's in the Hall of Fame and one's on his way. 2 great players.
Two-strike pitch, and Beltre bloops this one down the first base line. That could be trouble, but it's foul. Stays 0-2. And I've heard stories over the years about Ripken and how it didn't really matter what it was that you were doing or that was happening. He turned it into a competition. Everything was always a competition. Who could run the stairs up to the clubhouse after batting practice by touching the fewest steps? And he'd stride up 4 at a time. That sort of thing. And I was thinking about Ted Williams earlier when you were talking about Ted Williams, because he seemed like that kind of a guy too, where everything was a competition.
Definitely. Every year in Boston, they had a Jimmy Fund game. The Jimmy Fund is a charity for child cancer. And in the Jimmy Fund game, the Red Sox would invite back 15 or 16 old Red Sox hitters. And they would get a batting practice pitcher. And it would be like a wiffle ball game. If you hit a ball out of the infield, the Red Sox will donate $25 to the Jimmy Fund. If you hit a home run, it's X amount of dollars. And the whole thing was to raise money for the Jimmy Fund. Well, the Rangers were going to be playing in Boston on the Jimmy Fund game. And there was a lot of speculation as to whether Ted would take part in the game. He was a little bit overweight. He wore a jacket, a little bit self-conscious about that maybe. And so we all wondered whether or not he would take part in that contest. He was a little bit sarcastic, could be tough with his teaching. And I think deep down inside, some of us actually hoped that he wouldn't shine in that home run hitting contest. So maybe it would bring him back down to earth a little bit. Adrian takes that one, shakes it off right in the middle of the back. As he's walking to first base, he's waiting for the pain to go away right now, trying not to show any of that pain. And the day of the Jimmy Fund game, Tom Yawkey, who was the Red Sox owner, came down into Ted's office during the day to talk him into being in the Jimmy Fund game. Ted said he would do it. Obviously, the Red Sox had him bat last. The suspense was building as the first 15 Red Sox hitters were announced and hit, and it was Ted's turn. He had searched for a bat that felt right and found it, and then he hated the pine tar because it was too greasy, and he's mumbling under his breath that how do the hitters hit with that kind of pine tar? No wonder you're having your problems. And he's mixing dirt with the pine tar, squeezing the bat, and we're sitting in the dugout silent just watching him, and it was obvious that this was not just a little bit of batting practice and a fun experience for him. He was in the 7th game of the World Series, and he got the bat he wanted. He got the pine tar right, and they announced his name, the greatest hitter of all time, and he ripped off his jacket and he started striding toward home plate.
Gallo hits this one out to right field. It is gone. And a rocket out to right by Gallo. Another low liner for him. 28th of the year, and it has the Rangers in front 3-0.
Well, we've been talking about David Hess has had problems with the home run ball. He'd thrown pretty well through 3 innings, avoided that. But the hit by pitch to Adrian, and then that pitch to Joey Gallo, lined pretty much to the exact same spot that he hit his home run last night. The one last night he hit off the end of the bat. This one toward the end of the bat, but hit a little bit better exit velocity. Looked like a changeup. You could see the split finger grip. And Joey hit a line drive for a 2-run homer. So anyway, Ted is striding toward the plate, and he's yelling at the batting practice pitcher, who is the Red Sox pitching coach, Lee Stang. You know, he's telling him, don't lob that ball, throw the ball hard, put something on it. I can't hit that, blah, 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 throw the ball hard. And so when he got into the box, every one of us said, I'll bet he takes the first pitch. And he did. He took the first pitch. And then for 3 or 4 minutes, he hit, every swing he took was a line drive right off the barrel of the bat. Didn't hit a home run, almost hit one down the right field line. But he got done with the line drive, standing ovation, walked back into the dugout, didn't look at any player, didn't look at the fans, walked up the tunnel, and Bill Ziegler, our trainer, followed him up the tunnel. And he said to Bill, I had to prove to those blank blanks that I could still hit. So you talk about a competition. That's exactly how he was, and he proved that he still could. And after that little exhibition, I went up to Nellie Fox, one of our coaches, and I said, boy, that was unbelievable. Can you believe that? The guy hasn't taken batting practice in 10 years, and he swung the bat better than anybody on the team could swing the bat. And Nellie said, what are you talking about? I said, what he just did, none of us could hit like that. He hasn't hit a ball in 10 years. Nellie said, hasn't hit a ball in 10 years. He's been taking batting practice for 6 weeks. Do you think Ted Williams would go into that exhibition without knowing that he was going to hit the ball hard? And we all said to ourselves, nope, you know what? He wouldn't, and he didn't. So it was a pretty remarkable thing to be at.
Yeah, and that's
so much fun.
That's such a great illustration of who he was.
Oh yeah.
And how he operated.
Yep. If someone said to him, Ted, do you think you're the greatest hitter that ever lived?
Oh, this ball blasted high and deep to left field. Way gone. A massive home run for Chirinos, his 15th of the year. And the Rangers starting to pile on. It's 4-0.
We talked about Robinson. 6 home runs, 23 RBIs coming into the game in his last 23 games. Make it 7 home runs and 24 RBIs in his last 24 games. He's hot, and he is swinging it right now. That's his 15th home run on the season. So David Hess, who had been plagued by the home run, continues to be plagued by it. That's a breaking ball, but that one was intended to be down and away. It was down a little bit, but caught too much of the plate. Oh, a long, high home run.
425 feet. This one blooped, meanwhile, out over second, and Guzman reaches on a base hit to find the hole in the defense. So a hit batter, 2 homers, and now a single.
High fastball up and in, jammed him. Ronald's not too happy with the contact. Kind of puts his head down, going to run it out. Gets toward first base, looks up and realizes no one can catch it, and he's got himself a base hit. Didn't feel good coming off the bat, but same thing as a 104-mile-an-hour line drive up the middle.
Roger McDowell out there to slow things down for a moment for David Hess. Rangers have gone back-to-back with home runs this inning. 5th time this year that they have gone back-to-back.
You know, it was always interesting when Ted played in an old-timers game with Joe DiMaggio, because Joe DiMaggio always insisted on being introduced last and being introduced as the greatest living ball player. And so there was kind of a compromise. Joe DiMaggio was announced as the greatest living ball player. They came out together, and Ted was introduced as the greatest hitter of all time, or the greatest living hitter, whatever it was. And so it was kind of a nod to DiMaggio's ability to play center field and maybe more of an all-around player, and Ted's unquestioned ability as a hitter. So I guess to get to that point, you have to have a lot of pride. And it's not bragging, and it's not arrogant, it's not conceited. It's just knowing that you're great and being driven with a kind of competitive spirit that it takes to be that great. Maybe the rest of us, that's one of the reasons the rest of us don't reach those levels, because we don't have that inside that pushes us to work and reach those goals. That's the way Nolan Ryan was. He came over here when he was 38 or 39 years old, and he had to prove to the younger guys, Kevin Brown and the rest of the younger guys on the team, that he could do everything they could do and do it better. So he raised his game to a level that he probably hadn't seen for a few years. Struck out 300 batters and won 16 games, and proved that to every one of the guys on the team, especially the young pitchers. Couldn't keep up with him.
I like that, though, the pride, because I'm oftentimes a little torn when I see stuff like that, like needs to be introduced a certain way, but yeah, maybe really isn't arrogance or insecurity or whatever.
They
but
believe in
pride. Yeah.
If you want me to be here, recognize me for my greatness.
Calhoun pops this one foul back out of
It's
play.
the people that obviously aren't as good as they think they are that I think you're bothered by. I'm bothered by when they act like that. But when it's Muhammad Ali, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, someone like that, what can you say? They were the greatest of all time. And if they think that, why shouldn't they?
Calhoun 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And the pitch from Hess in the dirt. And on appeal, he did not go around. Bruce Dreckman, our third base umpire. So a full count now on Calhoun. Three runs across this inning. A 20-pitch inning for Hess. Now the payoff. And this one fouled away again. I was mentioning earlier that Hess was a real bright guy and had a unique major. He went to Tennessee Tech and he majored in biomolecular chemistry. Apparently a really sharp young man, just 24 years old. This ball grounded to the right side and bobbled out there. Everybody's safe. Beckham, I'm not sure if he was debating which base to go to once he got it, or if he just had trouble with it, but he ends up booting that one, and Calhoun is on.
It wasn't an exceptionally hard hit ball, but it was exactly between the two fielders. Maybe a little bit of anxiety over who was going to get to the ball, but it's on the glove side of Beckham, so it was an easier play for him. And as he comes across, he can't corral it.
So an error on Beckham, and with 2 men on, here is Tochi. Hess battling here, and then hurt by the defense behind him. And for Beckham, it's been a little bit of a struggle. That's his 15th error of the year. Right-hander may not make it out of this 4th inning. One and one. Our Southwest Airlines bullpen live look. We catch Donnie Hart loosening in the pen. You see the base runners, Guzman and Calhoun, second and first respectively. 1-2 the count.
Still nobody out in this inning. It's turned into a high pitch inning for David Hess. Trying to figure out a way how he can get an out here. Hurt his own cause with a hit by pitch with Adrian Beltre batting. And the error didn't help his cause on Willie Calhoun's ground ball.
Ooh, swing and a miss. He got Tochi to chase one up in the zone. One away. Well, the Rangers have already scored more than 10 runs in this series. So that means you save $10 on full price tickets in the Lexus Club Terrace, quarter box, upper reserved, and upper box seating sections to upcoming Rangers games. This discount applies to the Mariners series this Monday through Wednesday. Go to TexasRangers.com/specials and come out and see us next week. Well, it's an offense right now clicking. 4 runs on 9 hits so far tonight. It's still pretty early. And Hess let that one slip a little bit high for a ball on Shin-Soo Choo, who is 0 for 2 so far.
And so far in this game, Hess has had a problem with off-speed pitches. Really hasn't had any sharpness to his breaking balls. A lot of them have kind of hung, stayed up. If you're a Ranger hitter, you probably felt pretty confident that you could go up there and look for a fastball. There's a changeup that he threw. For the most part, it's been high fastballs.
You see the pitches by inning. Well, this 4th inning has really piled up on him. Two and one. Well, Choo lined out in the 1st inning. And he popped out to left field in the 3rd inning, 0 for 2. Choo fights him off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We talked at the top of the broadcast today about how these two teams on a runs per game basis right now as good as it gets in the American League. The Nationals out of the National League averaging slightly higher since the All-Star break. Nationals maybe making a little charge to relevance out in the National League East. Long awaited for Nationals fans. There's a ball. It's a full count on Choo. But since the All-Star break, you see the Rangers, this is among all major league teams. 1st in hits and total bases, 2nd in home runs and runs per game, and the .285 average since the break, 5th best in baseball. One out. Runners off their bases in the 3-2 pitch. That is inside ball 4, so they are loaded up. And here comes Buck Showalter. So that will do it for David Hess. 24-year-old rookie can't get through the 4th inning, and he leaves a mess for his bullpen here tonight. Rangers up 4-0. moment ago, just loaded the bases. And speaking of Chu, big autograph session with Shin-Soo Choo, August 7th at 10:30 in the morning. Going to be at Whataburger at State Highway 161 and Arkansas Lane in Grand Prairie. Now, while you're there, you can sign up to be a Whataburger What fan, and you could win tickets to an upcoming Rangers home game as well as Whataburger for a year. Go to TexasRangers.com/appearances for additional details. Donnie Hart, check it in here for the Orioles.
Yeah, Donnie Hart was in last night's game as well. Trying to work on getting his statistics a little bit more in order.
So Hart takes over a bases loaded spot. And one of the hottest hitters on the planet up there. And Odor sends this one down the right field line, but foul.
Donnie Hart's the kid we talked about in last night's game. Had to talk to Jim Palmer to verify what's in their press clips. He was recalled for the 8th time this year. So in 4 months, he's been called up and sent down 8 times. He's got to have an apartment in Baltimore, an apartment in wherever their AAA team is. Either that or he doesn't even have an apartment. He just stays in a hotel every week. He's got a family and kids, though. It's been a pretty hectic one.
That ball is deep to right and gone. Grand slam for Rougned Odor. And why not? There's nobody hotter right now in baseball than Rougned Odor. Rangers lead 8-0.
Yeah, I'm pretty much talked out on what I can say about Rudy. It's any better than what I've already said. It just remains the same. Excellent baseball. At bat after at bat, play in the field after play in the field, running the bases, you name it. He's doing it right now. So watch every game and enjoy it. There's not many players in the major leagues right now playing better than he is.
So the base is cleared for Elvis Andrus, and he takes a strike from Hart. Man, what a difference.
Well, they brought the lefty in to face the lefty. Good strategy. Unfortunately, he came in and faced the wrong guy, wrong left-handed hitter.
Ground ball shortstop. Beckham gathers it up, takes care of Andrus, and that is out number 2.
Take a look at the replay of the home run. It's a sidearm two-seam fastball that you could tell by the look on Hart's face. He didn't get that where he wanted it. And it sure didn't end up where he wanted it to end up either.
Third career grand slam for Rougned Odor. First time he's done it at home. Well, Beltre hit by pitches last time up. That's what started this huge 4th inning. He takes a strike. It's 0-2. A 7-run 4th inning. One and 2 the count. I guess we're almost cracking a smile at the fact that he would need to weigh in on that check swing. We can close the book now on David Hess. 7 runs, 6 of them earned on 5 hits. 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Pardon me, 5 runs earned. Two to Beltre. He'll stay alive. Yesterday, the Orioles got an inning and 2/3 out of their starter Andrew Cashner. Today 3 1/3 from Hess. And yesterday Buck Showalter had to use a position player pitching, Danny Valencia, and he did not want to do it.
Might have to do it again today where this game's going.
Base hit to right field for Beltre, his first hit of the night. And for Adrian, by the way, round number 3,130 for him.
Well, Rangers only had a couple of hits and an unearned run through 3 innings. They had 5 hits, a walk and a hit batter, and an error in this inning.
So Joey Gallo will get up for a second time in the inning. 11th batter that the Rangers send to the plate. Lefty Hart tried to push him off the plate a little bit there. Ball 1. Gallo now with the 28 homers and the 63 RBIs. One and one. You move away from the batting average in the case of Joey Gallo. You look at on base, you look at the slugging, the power production, and those things are going in the right direction and in a big way lately. He seems to have settled in a little. 2 and 1.
I think one of the things you like about Joey is the fact that he's showing on base percentage over the last week and a half or so. You know he can hit home runs. That's always going to be there. And he's hitting home runs at a pretty good pace. Coming into the game through 9 games, we'll make it 10 games counting tonight. Last 10 games, he's hit 6 home runs and driven in 12 runs. 6 home runs, 12 RBIs in 10 games. But he's also walked 10 times in 10 games. So his on-base percentage is over 40% over that 10-game stretch, and that's what you want to see. His batting average is probably around 250. But if you keep your batting average around 250 and you walk at that rate and hit the ball out of the ballpark, you are a very productive hitter. Power, creating runs, and getting on base with the walks, on base percentage, doing everything you need to do and get by without hitting 290 or 300. And even with the strikeouts.
He strikes out here and it ends the inning, and a long inning it was. Rangers putting 7 runs on the board in the 4th inning. Started with Gallo lining one out to right field. And the next at bat, Robinson Chirinos 425 feet to left. But it was all capped by that man, Rougned Odor's grand slam, 3rd of his career. Rangers lead it 8-0. As we go to the 5th inning. Ariel Urado now working with some big time run support, but he has been very good out there today. He's not allowed a runner to reach second base yet tonight. And Trey Mancini, first man he faces, takes one off the plate for a ball.
A long time in the dugout. Try to come out with a big lead, maintain your confidence, throw strikes, continue to get good results.
He's got the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in this 5th inning. Up wide again. And Chirinos takes that extra moment. Urado, 22 years old, just his 3rd start of the year. He started when we were in Chicago playing the White Sox earlier in the season. Up for that start. Back down to the minor leagues the very next day. And now making a handful of starts this time around. He goes 3-1 on Mancini. Oh, there's a foul ball to make it 3-2. Let's see. Home debut for Urado. First time he has pitched in this ballpark. But AA Frisco was 5-3, a 3.28 ERA. You mentioned earlier, Tom, he was a non-drafted free agent out of Panama back in 2012. Always been a good ground ball guy. And he's been one of the more heralded pitching prospects in the organization for a few years now. 3-2 pitch. And Mancini really battling him.
Well, he was behind in the count, 3-0. He's come back and thrown 4 straight 92-mile-an-hour sinkers, several of them away. But Mancini knows what's coming and really hasn't had a good swing. He's hanging in there, but really hasn't had a good swing at him on any of those pitches.
This one fouled off.
That's the difference between a 4-seam fastball, which is fairly straight, and a 2-seam fastball that has the movement. It's much more difficult to make the ball hit the barrel of the bat. Tough to anticipate how it's going to move.
9th pitch of the at bat. And a swing and a miss. Strike 3 gets Mancini to strike out.
Behind 3-0 through him 6 straight strikes.
Well, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, and that first time that Ariel was up, he didn't have the best experience. It wasn't terrible, but really took that learning experience back down to the minor leagues, worked on some things, and then here and now 1+ starts back. He's been not a different pitcher, but Jeff Bannister says pitching with more conviction and with a good pace that will go a long way at this level. We hear all the time about guys nibbling and not trusting their stuff. And if you can establish that very early on, it not only helps you as a pitcher, but it helps the defense behind you anticipate better what's coming.
Definitely, and he's doing a good job of that right now. I remember several years ago, Chichi Gonzalez got called up to the big leagues for the Rangers, and he's a very similar kind of pitcher. Doesn't have an overpowering fastball by velocity, but he's the same kind of pitcher, a sinker ball pitcher with similar pitches.
This one hit out to left center field and bangs off the base of the fence. Ronaldo Nunez heads to second base. And he's there with a 1-out double.
And he put together a string of 2 or 3 starts. I know one was in Oakland. And he came back here and faced the Dodgers. The Dodgers got to him a little bit, didn't have his best stuff, and had trouble after that maintaining consistency. And then he had an injury, of course. He's been on the disabled list for quite a while now, still rehabbing that. But they're both similar kinds of pitchers. They don't have huge margin for error. They have to hit their spots. They have to depend on movement. But when they're doing it, it's fun to watch because they get a lot of quick outs, keep their pitch count down. And then start against Houston, and so far today, that's what he's been doing.
He goes 1-0 on Jace Peterson. He's thrown 67 fastballs, 7 changeups, and 2 sliders, give or take.
He's probably, I won't say struggled, but he hasn't had quite the same command that he did against Houston. In fact, his pitch count now is zeroing in on 80. Not alarming, but it's a little bit high. And he's had a couple of double plays in the game too, which keeps your pitch count down. Might not have had pretty good movement. They have not hit the ball hard. Maybe not quite the same command that he had against the Astros.
Now 3-0 on Peterson. And that time no help by Peterson. Lays off a close pitch and he'll draw the walk. Just the second walk tonight issued by Murado, and both of them to Jace Peterson. So 2 men on, and that's not the worst thing right there, because now you get back into that double play spot that could get you out of the inning. And Caleb Joseph, the man due, is the guy he doubled off back in the 3rd inning. So a mound visit. Doug Brocail makes his way back into the dugout. First mound visit used by the Rangers tonight. Here's Joseph. 3 homers, 41 RBIs, or rather 14 RBIs
on the year, but he's been swinging the bat better lately.
You know, just a random thought looking down at the field, Dave. I don't think the Rangers have ever had a season where the field has been in better shape than it's been in all season long. Usually this time of year, especially on scalding hot days like we've had, you'll see some bare spots that are unavoidable. But right now, as you look out at the field, it's pretty much perfect.
Flare out toward right field, and it's caught by Gallo, and everybody holds. And that one kind of squeezed out of the end of the glove, but he managed to keep it.
I think that one died on Joey a little bit more than he thought it was going to die on him. I think he was anticipating it going a little bit farther than it did, and then kind of right at the end he has to speed up just a little bit and reach a little bit more than he wanted to, and that's what the players call a snow cone right there. Missed the pocket of the glove. If it hits the pocket of the glove when you close your glove, you can't see the ball. When it hits right in the tip of your glove like that, you can see the ball. It kind of resembles a snow cone. As long as the snow doesn't fall out of the cone, you're all right.
Hard ground ball, that one up the middle. That's a base hit for VR. Wade Nunez around third base. He'll score the first run of the night for the Orioles. So VR with the RBI single makes it an 8-1 ball game.
The other thing we mentioned coming into the game, when Gerardo faced the Astros, they weren't swinging the bats as well as the Orioles are right now. The Orioles have had 15 hits or more 4 times in 6 games. They had 11 or 12 last night and scored 8 runs. So even though there's not the same household names on the team that maybe they've had over the years, right now they're hot. Tough to hold down.
So Peterson's at third, VR at first, and now here's Tim Beckham, who is 1 for 2. That's a very high for ball 1. Gerardo, this will be his 85th pitch of the evening. Now working with that big lead. And you wonder if they would maybe give him a chance to come out and pitch a 6th. Already more pitches than his last time out against Houston. But still, you would think relatively in check. This ball hit hard out to left field. That's a base hit by Beckham. So that gets Peterson in, makes it 8-2. Couple of men on now, and you know, the conversation between Banny and Doug Brocail continues.
Well, the one thing that you always have to keep in mind when pitchers are, say, under 25, especially when they're only 22, as the season winds down, number one, they're not used to pitching in September, and number two, they're probably, if they do pitch in September, going to reach high innings totals, higher than they've ever had before. And so I think you tend to protect a 22-year-old a little bit more than you would someone 25, 26, or 27. Now, Gerardo right now is somewhere around 115 or 120 innings.
We'll see his pitches so far tonight. 86, a season high of 81 prior to tonight, but that's just in 2 other starts.
Last year Gerardo threw 157 innings. He threw about 120 the year before that, and so I think the Rangers would probably be very happy if he was somewhere between 150 and 165 innings this year, which seems like he's on track to be.
He needs 1 more out to get to this 5th. Ball and 2 strikes now on Adam Jones, who is flied out to right and singled to left field. A bit of a workload in this 5th inning for Jurado. This will be his 25th pitch. Out even at 2-2.
Right. You'd love to see the kid end up with at least 5 innings and get out with a great chance to get a win. But at the same time, this is going to be his 90th pitch, and Banny is not going to take any chances on extending him farther than he should.
Well, a little bouncer up the middle, and Andrews with a nice athletic play on the bag, able to force out Beckham in the inning. 2-run score, and we go to the bottom of the 5th inning with the Rangers up by 6.
The 4th inning and the long ball. Joey Gallo started it out with a 2-run line drive to right field. Robinson Chirino, a high long one down the line, and then closing it out, Rugi, another high long one, this time down the right field line, that time a grand slam. That put the finishing touches on a 7-run inning for the Rangers as they continue to swing great bats since the All-Star break. 25 runs in the last 2 games, most runs in consecutive games all season long.
Yeah, things going right now for this offense. And Odor trying to pass on some of that to Elvis. So now here is Evan Phillips, one of the players acquired from Atlanta, the deal for Kevin Gausman and Darren O'Day.
Doesn't have extensive experience this season. Look at his repertoire: fastball, slider, and a changeup.
His first pitch right in there for a strike to Robinson Chirinos. Chirinos with the home run. He's 1 for 2. Phillips, a native of Maryland, and just the 25th Maryland-born player to appear in a game for the Baltimore Orioles. Born in Salisbury, Maryland. I understand they really enjoy steak. I think they're famous for it. Upstairs, 1-2.
You a big Salisbury steak fan?
You know, as a kid, we used to eat it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't had that though probably since I was a teenager.
I haven't either. A little bit tough, if I remember right, wasn't it?
That was the whole point.
Or was it a hamburgery kind of thing?
No, it was tough.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Probably
not the choicest cut of beef either.
It was that era, though, right? I mean, that was the thing. You made the best
with the food, but you had to stretch the food budget back then.
My mom had that mallet, right, with the little prongs on it, and she would beat that steak on the counter, and then that was a part of it. I always knew when, Salisbury steak.
Time to get Salisbury steak. There's that noise coming from the kitchen.
Chirinos strikes out swinging, 1 away. All right, time for a Chevy game break. The guy who loves Salisbury steak. Here's John Radigan. All right, thanks, John. The Angels. When Ohtani got hurt, things really took a turn for the Angels, and they have really slipped. I wondered early on if they might just be, a contender, mix it up in the division as Guzman fouls this one away.
Yeah, they've had something like 14 people go on the disabled list. Just been ridiculous, and it hasn't happened recently. It happened early in the season. Injuries aren't an excuse. We all have them, but they seem like they've had maybe more than their share of them. They're trying to hover right around 500 right now. The A's are the ones that have asserted themselves. They're 18 games over 500.
Really a phenomenal run by Oakland. I mean, Seattle had like an 11.5 game lead in the wild card at one point, and it's gone.
It's gone.
Still a long way to go.
I can remember listening to a sports show before the season started when they were going through their predictions. And one of the announcers, analysts, predicted that the A's were going to go to the postseason. And I remember thinking to myself, man, the A's? That's kind of a long shot. And he gave all the reasons why. Good lineup, young players, Chris Davis, maybe some surprises in the rotation. And boy, he's been right. Wish I could remember who it was so I could give him credit for what he said.
Strike 3 called. Guzman down looking, 2 away.
They've had a number of injuries in their rotation too. Probably 4 or 5 injuries in their rotation. And they've shuffled some guys around, and here they are, 18 games over 500.
Yeah, at the end of spring training, all of a sudden, everybody was feeling sorry for him. Terrell Cotton was having surgery.
Kendall Graveman.
Yeah. And
a couple more too.
Yeah, they have. Was it A.J. Puck, their former first-round pick?
Yeah, they thought he might have a chance to pitch for him this year. Trevor Cahill's back, but he was on the disabled list.
Now, they've been a fun story. Meanwhile, here the Rangers jumped out 8-0. Now lead 8-2. Willie Calhoun is 0 for 2, but has scored a run. And it's a ball and a strike on him. Well, this kid who's coming to pitch here, Evan Phillips, right-hander, just called up today. Jan Marinez, we saw him yesterday, and he left the game with an apparent injury. He went to the disabled list, allowing them to call Phillips up today. Calhoun inside outs this one out to left field. Mancini coming on, and he leans out to make the catch. The inning is done. So now we go to the 6th inning. Rangers still leading by 6.
And it's time for our Southwest player breakdown. Let's check out Ariel Jurado's night tonight. A lot of good sinkers, got a lot of ground balls, and the Ranger defense really helped him out in the infield. Made 3 nice plays. Rugi made a couple. Adrian made a couple. He had a few strikeouts. Kept the ball down well. Might have gotten tired a little bit in the 5th inning. Had a high pitch inning, gave up a few hits and the 2 runs. But overall, it was a nice appearance. Good follow-up to his start against the Astros.
Well, he gives way to Alex Claudio here in the 6th inning. Claudio making his 44th appearance of the year. And things bogged down a little bit there in the 5th inning for Jurado, but overall, nice outing again. So leaves with that lead and hopes his bullpen can take it the rest of the way. Trumbo 0 for 2, and did he hold up? I don't think so. He did. He did, according to Mike Estabrook. There's a bounder up the middle, and that one is through. So Trumbo on to start the 6th inning. And we'll take a moment now to hear from the good folks over at Kia.
When you're America's best value, you don't need some over-the-top celebration.
Now, 3rd time tonight that the Orioles have gotten the lead man on base. Previous 2 times he was then doubled up in the next at bat. Chris Davis now, and he'll shoot this one foul. Last night the Orioles got the leadoff hitter on base 5 times. In the ball game, the Rangers won 17-8. Davis with the average now back under 160. He's grounded out and struck out. He hits this one out to the gap, left center field. That one will get down and roll to the wall. Trumbo into 3rd base. They're going to go ahead and wave him. Here comes a relay throw to the plate, and it is offline. So an RBI double for Chris Davis. It's 8-3.
Well, in last night's game, the Orioles got trounced, but they kept scoring. You know, all through the game, ended up with 8 runs in the game. Rangers had to keep scoring. They ended up with 17. But in this game, the Orioles down by quite a bit, but with the offense and the way they've been swinging the bats, they've shown they can score all game long.
Now Trey Mancini, and he'll bounce one toward 3rd, but foul. Those numbers with runners in scoring position this year for Mancini, a 120 average. That is the lowest in baseball. And very prone to the strikeout in these spots. Oh, 0-2.
Yeah, Mancini's picked it up a little bit since the All-Star break. He's hit close to 350, but he got off to a dreadful start. The guy that hit over 290 last year hit 24 home runs.
One and 2. Davis off 2nd base. A little bit in, so 2 balls, 2 strikes to Mancini. Orioles got a couple of runs in the 5th inning. They've scored 3 total tonight on 8 hits. They've also made 3 errors. Left 4 men on base so far. It's a 2-2. That bounces up there.
They're trying to get him to swing at one of those changeups down and out of the strike zone. So far, Mancini's been able to lay off it. On the count to 3-2.
So Claudio's going to have to give him something decent here, and a swing and a miss. Strike 3. Mancini again with a runner in scoring position, strikes out, 1 away.
He kept going with a changeup. He laid off a bunch of them, but he couldn't lay off that one. It's funny, the mentality of the hitter changes when you work the count to 3-2. I think you kind of say to yourself, okay, he doesn't want to walk me. I'm going to look for a fastball. And you do, and then you can't lay off that same changeup that you've laid off most of the count. And he just kept throwing it.
So Renato Nunez, the hitter here, he doubled last inning, 1 for 2. So the 9th game he has played with Baltimore. Called up right after the All-Star break. Earlier this season, it appeared in 13 games with the Rangers, but struggled. 6 for 36 as a Ranger with a home run. He's placed on waivers. Orioles claimed him. Had him playing at AAA Norfolk before calling him up right out of the All-Star break. And there's a strike. It's 1-2. Came up with Oakland. Nunez, a guy with a powerful bat, but they had trouble in Oakland figuring out a place to use him defensively. They had looked at him as a third baseman, but then Matt Chapman stepped in and that conversation was over. And he swings and misses strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Claudio.
They just don't have the patience to wait on the changeup, and Alex keeps on throwing it. They all know what he throws, and they all know they're going to see it, but it's an entirely different story when you step into the box and try to hit it. Tell yourself, okay, he's going to throw me a changeup. I have to wait. Don't try to pull it, and you still end up with that kind of a swing frequently.
So now Jace Peterson. That one just missed. Peterson, a former first-round pick by the Padres back in 2011. Padres traded him to Atlanta. Part of the deal in which they acquired Justin Upton after the 2014 season. There's a strike. It's 1-1. This year, Peterson signed with the Yankees in the offseason. Yankees then released him and re-signed him in the span of like a day and a half in mid-April. Eventually put him on waivers later in the month, and Baltimore claimed him. That one is low. 2-1. Peterson has walked both times up today. Bounces this one to third base. Beltre right there. And he'll throw him out. The inning is done. Orioles get another run back. And they send us to the bottom half of the 6th inning with the Rangers up by 5. Rangers baseball is presented by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. Beautiful evening tonight out here at Globe Life Park. 8-3 Rangers on top, and they'll go to work for a little more here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The big inning was a 7-run 4th. Tochi will lead it off in the 6th inning. Tochi 1 for 2 with a double. And he is one of just 2 Rangers to have not yet scored in this one. He and Elvis. And he'll take a strike from Evan Phillips. Tochi was the last second addition to the lineup today. Delano DeShields was initially in there, but scratched with some headaches just prior to the game. Tochi now has appeared in 13 of the 14 Rangers games since the All-Star break, and this in fact his 8th start, so he's beginning to get a little more regular playing time. He strikes out quickly here in the 6th inning. 1 away. Well, next Wednesday, final game of that series against the Seattle Mariners. It's a 105 game. It's our next Texas Chili Company $1 Hot Dog Day. And you can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Western Division play, $1 hot dogs. Afternoon baseball. Can't beat it. Here's Chu. He has scored a run, walked his last time up. And he was going for it all right there. Buck Showalter today before the ball game talking about the roster moves his team made, activating this guy Phillips. They put Nunez on the DL, and he expressed a lot of interest and excitement in seeing Evan Phillips pitch at the big league level. So he's seen a lot of video on him and been keeping close track of him. And so didn't waste a whole lot of time getting him in there tonight. And so far, he's retired the 4 Rangers he has faced, 3 of them on strikes. So the former Atlanta Brave has looked good in an Orioles uniform tonight.
Yeah, the other guy in the bullpen, another guy in the bullpen, Cody Carroll. The Orioles got him from the Yankees. Evidently, he's got a great arm. Gets it up there in the upper 90s. We'll probably see him before these 4 games are over, too.
Two-strike pitch. Oh, that's a little bit outside. So the Orioles, let's see, they traded Manny Machado, Zach Britton, Kevin Gausman, Darren O'Day, Jonathan Scope. They added 15 players with those trades. Ground ball, shortstop. Beckham will throw out Chu. 2 away. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, some of the moves they made, a lot of them.
Well, they traded their 2 best position players, Machado and Scope. Zach Britton, their closer, Brad Brock, one of their setup men, Darren O'Day, setup men, and a very promising, but although he hasn't fulfilled the promise yet, Kevin Gausman in the rotation. He was the 4th pick in the draft, college pitcher from LSU. Really good prospect. I think a lot of teams in baseball probably liked him around the same spot in the draft. And even though he's shown some signs of being that kind of pitcher, consistently hasn't been able to do it. The Braves were obviously willing to take a shot at it. He's one of those guys that if he does find it, and instead of being sporadic with his success, puts it together, you've got kind of a top of the rotation, potentially top of the rotation kind of guy.
Well, the Orioles also had a deal in place with Philadelphia that would have sent Adam Jones to the Phillies, but the Orioles center fielder, by his technical rights, 10-5 rights we call him, he declined the trade. He did not want to go to Philadelphia, wanted to stay in Baltimore. His family likes Baltimore. He likes Baltimore.
And he's also been very strongly involved in the community in Baltimore. A lot of charitable endeavors. Right now he's kind of the face of the franchise, well respected in Baltimore. His family loves it in Baltimore. Some people might say, well, why wouldn't any player rather go to a better team? Well, there's a lot more to the story. He's been there for 8 or 9 years, well established. You know, your family, your kids are in school, your family loves it there. There's 2 months left in the season. You've got the right to stay. That's what you should do if that's what you want to do.
And that's what he did. And it's a 1-2-3 out of the 6th inning. So off to the 7th we go tonight. And it's our who's in and who's out pitching change, sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. Cody Guerin, the man who is in, comes in here to pitch in the 7th inning. The guy who was out, Alex Claudio, done after his 1 inning of work.
Yeah, Cody's throwing the ball well for the Rangers. 10 innings, only given up 5 hits. 9 strikeouts, 152 opponent's batting average. Sinker, slider, and a changeup.
So he'll get the 9th place hitter, Caleb Joseph, and then back up top, VR and Beckham. And those 2 have combined to be pretty productive so far in this series. First, though, Joseph, who was 0 for 2. He was on that one. Pulls it foul for a strike.
Pitch was about a foot inside, it looked like. Joseph hit a home run last night. He's been swinging it pretty well. It's the 1st of July. Hitting over 300. It shows how far down he was when that started.
This ball wrapped down to third base, and Beltre right there on top of it. One away here in the 7th inning. So 2 pitches for Guerin to take care of Joseph, and now leadoff man Jonathan Villar. So you'll see in our in-game box score, Villar and Beckham have combined for 4 hits so far tonight. Yesterday, those 2 combined for 5 hits. So they've gotten some production up top. And 8 runs yesterday. Certainly, on most days, going to be good enough to get you a win. Yesterday, it got them within 9 runs.
Well, you can see when you look at the Oriole lineup why they thought in the offseason that they could be competitive this year. You know, Jonathan Scope is a guy who hit 30 home runs, knocked in 100 runs. You know who Manny Machado is. Both of them have been traded. Trumbo, as you said, Dave, hit 47 home runs a couple of years ago. Chris Davis hit a whole bunch of home runs. He's struggled recently. But with those 4 guys in the middle of the lineup, you would think they'd score a lot of runs.
Base hit out into right field for Villar, his 3rd hit of the night. All right, well, to your point, you just take the 2 big guns that they ended up trading away, Manny Machado and Jonathan Scope. Now, prior to the All-Star break, their 84 runs, 34 homers, and 90 RBIs represented better than a quarter of the production in basically all 3 categories for that team. So that's a lot to have to replace. But they also have a lot of other good hitters, you would think.
And even with those numbers, Machado's been the only guy that's been consistent from day one. Scope got off to a terrible start. He's been hot lately to get his numbers back up. But it's too late. You know, the Orioles sealed their fate April and May, really. When you look at Trumbo and you look at Chris Davis, they both got big contracts. They both led the league in home runs, I think, 47, 48 home runs. And so when you know, maybe you overdid it a little bit with the contract, but at the same time, you don't expect guys to go from upper 40s in home runs down to the teens or lower 20s. They just haven't had the consistency of production that they expected when they signed both of those guys. But, you know, power hitters and those 2, they're streaky. They just haven't had their streaks yet. And if they do, it's too late.
Little number down the first baseline, and Guzman will take it to the bag. Beckham retired. Villar goes to second base, 2 away. Well, brings up Adam Jones. Well, the Orioles general manager Dan Duquette, I mean, look, they traded off a lot of names, and it's going to be a very different looking Orioles team next year. He had a great quote when approached by the media at the end of the trade deadline. Said something to the effect of, "I heard it's easier to tear down the whole house and rebuild it from scratch than to simply renovate one room at a time." And so,
yes, probably true. And I think they're doing what they need to do. They finally got a commitment from ownership to do that. You know, Dan Duquette's a guy he's built teams before and done a good job of it. And now he's finally getting to do what he wants to do.
Well, ground out to short ends the inning, a 7-pitch inning for Corey Guerin. Now time for God Bless America as we turn it over to Chuck Morgan.
Your attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and direct your attention to the area behind home plate and welcome back Lauren Hedrick. In honor of all the veterans who have served our country and the servicemen and women who are currently stationed at home and around the world, Lauren will now perform God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean.
Well, it's a 5-run Rangers lead, and we move to the bottom of the 7th inning. And you mentioned it earlier, some interest in seeing Cody Carroll pitch, and so the Orioles oblige. Here he comes. Yeah.
Well, are his minor league numbers. Pretty nice strikeout totals, 57 in 43 innings. Nice ERA. See how high he can touch that radar gun. Pretty good, 96 on the first pitch. Tall, lanky right-hander.
Yeah, he draws Andrews, Beltre, and Gallo, so nothing cheap about that. And Andrews, nothing cheap about this one. Sends it high in the air, deep out to just right of center field. Jones, the deepest part of the ballpark, tracks it down. 1 away. All right, how about a Chevy game break? Let's bring in John Radigan again. All right, thank you, John. Adrian Beltre stands in. He takes low. Beltre 1 for 2, hit by a pitch earlier tonight. Ooh. Right off the face mask of Caleb Joseph. Joseph telling everybody he's all right. 1 away, nobody on here in the 7th. Well, Cody Carroll, acquired by the Orioles from the Yankees, part of that Zach Britton deal. 25 years old, and gets Beltre to swing and miss.
Every time you see a new pitcher, you wonder who he reminds you of, and some of our fans might remember a guy named Eric Plunk. Eric Plunk came up with the Yankees just like Carroll did.
Beltre flies out to right field, 2 away.
It's time for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. We're going to check Joey Gallo, who was built for baseball. Last night, hit a ball off the end of the bat, 2 rows back to right field, and made a beautiful diving catch in an important part of the game to save a couple of runs. Today, another line drive almost in the same spot. This one picked off by one of the fielders out there. And another nice play in right field. This one running toward the foul line. So a couple of home runs and a couple of nice plays in right field by Joey Gallo. Anyway, Eric Plunk signed with the Yankees, was traded to the Indians, and he was a late inning bullpen guy, threw in the probably mid to upper 90s, overhand curveball, tall, lanky guy with a similar kind of delivery. Had a lot of success. Short inning relief for the Indians. Probably some other teams too. Got a little bit of that look to him.
We got 2 fly ball outs. Had a Gallo, no balls and 2 strikes.
Oh man, that's a pop-up.
Yeah. It'll come down eventually. Oh my! Oh wow!
That was almost
That's
too.
fun.
You say too hot to handle. That was too high to handle.
Yeesh. Renato Nunez from third base making the catch on that one. It was like the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote. It's an anvil coming down. Daniels remind you to drink responsibly. A big night for the Rangers offensively, leading 8-3 as we move it to the 8th inning. You can enhance your next game day experience with the MLB Ballpark app. Access and manage your tickets, enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and a whole lot more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. All right, Chris Martin coming on here with the 8th inning. Good to see him back. Martin, who has lost some time on the disabled list. This will be his 29th appearance of the year. He stayed off the DL on Tuesday. In fact, so far this year, the Arlington native has gone to the DL 3 different times. And a little right forearm irritation, right calf strain, and then the last stint, which was a left groin strain. But here he is, back with a big club and going after the heart of the order here. Trumbo lifts one high in the air to the right side. Long run for Gallo, and ran out of room. Mark Gallo, by the way, just his 8th game in right field. And they've all come here quite recently. He has done a nice job, all things considered. Very smooth transition. In fact, he has 4 outfield assists since the All-Star break.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've noticed from Joey this year is as the season has gone on, his arm has become more accurate. He's always had the arm strength, but boy, recently those throws are starting to be right on the mark. Not that he was wild with his throws, but I think he's just improved to the point where they're even more accurate now than ever before.
Martin off the plate. 2-1 to Trumbo. Trumbo, Chris Davis, and Trey Mancini. Orioles have out-hit the Rangers tonight, 9-7, but they trail by 5 runs. Another pop-up foul. So good battle here by Trumbo. Well, this is the second game of a 4-game series between these two clubs. Some other interesting series out there tonight around Major League Baseball. One of them, the rematch of the World Series, Astros and Dodgers in LA. 1-0 Dodgers lead early in that one. Fly ball out to right. Gallo was there. And away. One out. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
Well, talking to the young guys, it's interesting to kind of pick their brains about things that they've learned at the major league level, things that they've, brought with them from the minor leagues, lessons that they've learned, and of course continue to build on that. But I asked Guzzi about, his offense and his defense, if he's able to separate them, and he was emphatic about the answer being yes. And he said it's because when he was in the minor leagues, he would get to first base, and if he had a bad at bat, he would kind of mimic a swing during other guys at bats. And he said they got on him really early about how he had to leave that, in the past, and he's got to focus on the defensive side of it. So it was interesting to hear his response and why that lesson stuck with him so much. And he says it's something that he relies on still now, is to not take the defense to the plate and not take what's happened at the plate to the field.
It's funny you would say that, Emily. I can remember back many times upset with an at-bat, going to the outfield and mimicking my batting style, trying to figure out something that would make it more comfortable the next time up. So I guess that's something a lot of hitters have to fight when you go out to the field, to make sure you're concentrating on your defense and not taking the bat to the field. So I'm right there with him on that one. I've been there before too. I struck out in the outfield too, just like I did up at the plate. Wasn't even a ball being pitched.
Inside, 2-1 to Chris Davis. Yeah, it's funny. You hear that all the time. Don't take your at-bats with you out to the field. And when I was young, of course, never played anywhere near a real important level. But I always wanted to completely and totally forget my at-bats. I was actually kind of hoping that nobody would even have noticed my at-bats. The last thing I was going to do was...
You're a defensive specialist?
That's right. That's right.
Well, what you had to be careful of is not to take your defense into the bench with you when it was time to hit. Like if you made an error, don't let it bother you when you come into the plate. It might affect your hitting.
How come hitters never stop between pitches and mimic, taking a ground ball, get down on a knee? Davis strikes out, 2 away.
Yeah, that way, if you find a hitter on the bench while his team is hitting, going through defensive routines, getting down, pretending he's fielding a ground ball or a pop-up, let me know. I'd like to watch that guy. He'll be rare.
That'd be awesome. Turn that whole thing on its head. Well, here's Mancini. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts tonight. 8-3 Rangers lead. Well, Martin, pretty good zip on that fastball, 96 miles per hour with that one. Third relief pitcher tonight for the Rangers. Claudio pitched the 6th inning, a scoreless 7th by Corey Guerin. And so now Martin to get an inning of work. Manny mentioned it yesterday that there are going to be some days where when the starter's done, he's going to have a long reliever go out there and hopefully chew up 3, 4, or whatever number of innings on a given night. And then there'll be other nights like tonight where guys are going to come in. It's just going to be an inning at a time. Ground ball, shortstop, and that one gets away from Andrews.
Well, the Rangers have made some great defensive plays, and there's been a lot of balls hard that have been converted into outs. That would have been one right up there with the best of them tonight if Elvis was able to backhand that shot. Mancini hit a rope. Elvis upset that he didn't come up with it. And boy, that would have kind of put the finishing touches on a really nice defensive night by the Rangers. Anticipated a little bit more of a hop, and again, they all look a little bit easier in slow motion than they are when they're coming at you 100 miles an hour.
An error charged to Elvis.
Oh, that's a tough error. I've already written down hit on that one. Thought it was going to take a bigger hop and didn't come up like he thought it was going to come up.
What is that? You suppose that's like top spin?
Maybe. Yeah, could have been. Generally speaking, and I'm not official scorekeeper, I don't want to be one. I couldn't be one. I'd be the worst one, blah, blah, blah. But generally on a ball hit that hard that you have to backhand, the advantage usually goes to the hitter.
Mancini around third. He's heading to the plate. Here comes a throw. Got him!
Add another one for Roogie.
How about that? Nunez blasted an extra base hit to the power alley, but the relay came to Odor, and he delivers an assist.
Well, this is about as good as you can make a relay throw. Odor from out in right field throws a strike home to Chirinos, and that ends the inning. What a play. Now for our Coors Light refreshing finish, and here it is, a rope in the gap, run down by Joey Gallo, who fires a strike to Roogie, who fires a strike to Robinson, and they tag out the runner at the plate. That's as well as you can execute a cutout play. The outfielder sprinting to the ball, cutting it off before it gets to the wall, throwing off balance, a strike to the infielder, who then turns and throws a strike to the plate. That's practiced a lot in spring training. You practice it all season long, but when you execute it like that, it is a thing of beauty, and no one appreciates it more than Chris Martin.
So now in the bottom of the 8th, Mike Wright Jr., the right-hander, has come on here for Baltimore to make his 32nd appearance. Whoa.
I was getting ready for that one to bounce off his helmet. You're going to get it in the helmet. That's the one you want to hit you. 75-mile-an-hour hanging breaking ball.
Time granted is Robbie wanted to break away there for a moment. Now everybody resets. 2-1. So Wright Jr., the 4th reliever for Baltimore tonight. Their starter David Hess went 3 1/3. And this one fouled away. Well, Rangers trying to take the first 2 games in this series. Won yesterday 17-8. It's just a little bit wide. Full count now. Chirinos homered earlier, back of the 4th inning. Power bat has been there for him with some regularity this last, I don't know, couple of weeks. Now the payoff. And that is outside, ball 4. So a walk to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Tomorrow, another night game, 7:05 for the first pitch. Our coverage will begin at 6:30 here on Fox Sports Southwest. And our Ford probables. How about the similarity in numbers between Dylan Bundy and Mike Minor so far this year? It looks to be a fairly even pitching matchup. A couple of 7-win pitchers.
Bundy has been plagued by the long ball. He's given up 26 home runs.
That's way in and got Guzman.
Ouch.
The first 2 batters are on base. Second hit batter of the game tonight. 62nd time a Rangers hitter has been plunked.
And the hamstring. Looked like a cut fastball that cut too much. Trying to throw it inside, but just hung on to it a little bit too long and yanked it.
Well, with that as the backdrop, talking earlier about some of the big series going on around baseball. Yankees hosting the Boston Red Sox. Or rather the other way around. Red Sox hosting the Yankees. Red Sox won again today, 4-1. The final score in that one, but a little excitement as apparently the Yankees threw at Mookie Betts' head. And Alex Cora didn't take too kindly to it. After the game was fairly clear that he thought there was intent. And so that could get pretty interesting. Going to be a heated stretch for both those 2 teams, Boston and New York. Good history of dislike between those 2 franchises.
Yeah, I don't know how you could dislike Mookie Betts. Hopefully that's one that just got away. No intent involved there.
That's one of the bag at first.
I guess if you're the Yankees, you might not like the way he pounds the baseball and the way the Red Sox have been kind of inching away from the Yankees. That gives them a 7.5 game lead over the Yankees right now. A little frustration on the part of the Yankees.
All right. Little command trouble early on here. The 1-2 pitch, though, on the way to Calhoun, and that is outside. 2-2. So we'll look at the American League East standings now, and she mentioned a 7.5 game lead for Boston over a New York team that's pretty good.
Yep. And all that means is if the Yankees end up in that position, they're going to have to play in the wild card game. Anything can happen. Tough to win that many games and lose in one game.
Calhoun lost one deep out to left center. Jones missed it on the backhand. Chirinos is in. Guzman to follow. It's a 2-run double for Calhoun. Rangers in double digits again tonight. 10-3 to score.
Well, Wright got himself in trouble with a base on balls to Chirinos, a hit batter. A couple of men on. Willie shoots that ball in the gap in left center field. Well, that's not a strike. That's pretty nice hitting right there. That ball's up and out of the strike zone. And Willie gets on top of that one. Adam Jones can't quite come up with it. Kind of compare that to the last inning when Gallo cut one off, hit the cutoff man, and Ruby threw him out at the plate. Orioles might have had a chance for a similar kind of play, but they weren't able to execute quite like the Rangers did.
So now Carlos Tocci. And he lifts this one back of second base. And VR is there, one away. So it brings up Chu. Oh for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Great numbers for Chu at the bottom of your screen there, and what a terrific stretch he had with that 52-game on-base streak. Four for his last 19, however. The hits have been a little harder to come by. In fact, Chu hitting close to 150 now over a 13-game stretch, including tonight. There's Calhoun. A couple of doubles yesterday, 2-run double here tonight. 1-1. So Wright comes into a game where the pitchers before him, Evan Phillips and Cody Carroll, were spot on. They both looked really good. In a game, the Rangers had a sizable lead, but he has just been unable to throw strikes. 2-1. And this ball hit out to right center field. That one gets down. Here comes Calhoun. He'll score without a throw. RBI single for Chu. It's 11-3.
Well, the Rangers doing what they did last night. They had the one big inning today, but they scored early and they're scoring late to go along with it, adding to their lead and swinging the bats. Shin-Soo Choo gets a good pitch to hit, low fastball right in the middle of the plate. A little bit of a downturn, came into the game 8 for his last 49, but he's walked, scored a run, now has a base hit and driven in a run in this game. Yeah, I think if you're the Orioles, you have to like what you saw from Evan Phillips, Cody Carroll, 2 of their newest players they acquired in their recent trades. Phillips came in and had a good fastball, 94, 95 miles an hour. Carroll tick higher than that. Both of them threw the ball well. 3 innings between them. Nothing but 3 strikeouts.
Well, good crowd tonight. 22,544. They await some fireworks afterwards, set to the music chosen by Eric Nadel. Odor with a big swing and a miss.
And watching Cody Carroll in the dugout, I don't mean to speak for him, have no idea what his thoughts were about the trade. But as far as opportunity goes, I think he's got a much better opportunity here with the Orioles. The Yankees loaded with late inning, hard throwing bullpen pieces. Had a chance to come here and establish himself as a late inning guy and get a great chance to do it.
Fly ball left field. 2 away. All right, here comes Elvis. Elvis 0 for 4. He reached on an error back in the 1st inning. And Elvis, last chance, more than likely, at this hitting streak of his, a 13-game hitting streak coming in. Longest current streak in baseball, longest of the season for a Rangers hitter. Now Lourdes Gurriel in Toronto now with an 11-gamer, the rookie. Hosmer, a 9-game streak for the Padres. But Andrus right now leading the way, but he's going to have to come up with a hit here. And a whole 0-2. The other thing that Elvis has done, if you want to separate out the road games, take those out of the equation, it's 16 straight home games in which he has hit safely. That's the longest home hitting streak for a Ranger since 2015.
Elvis had a great story to tell at the luncheon today about Vladdy Guerrero. Talked when he was a younger player, when Vladdy was here for that 1 year. He went up to him and said, "Do you have any tips for my hitting?" And Vladdy told him, "See the ball and hit it." And Elvis said, yeah, I know that, but anything technical, how to hold my bat, how to stride? Nope, just see the ball and hit it. And then over the years, when Elvis would get a little too technical with his swing, a little too scientific, he'd go back and think of what Vladdy told him and kind of drop all the thought process and just go up there and look for the ball and hit it. He said it's been more than occasionally where that advice from Vladdy really helped. If there's ever a guy that saw the ball and hit it, Vladdy was the guy.
Yeah, he was proof that it didn't have to be in the strike zone as long as you saw it.
We're going to have a lot more on Vladdy tomorrow, right? During the game?
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that.
Well, the 2-2. Whoa,
watch out.
Little heat up by the chin. And full count now on Elvis.
Where you're very vulnerable when you open up, turn your hips, and get in that position. It's great when it misses you. If it doesn't, you hope it fouls off your bat and avoids hitting your right shoulder.
Fouled away, and Andrus will see another. 3 runs in this inning.
One of the most amazing swings I've ever seen. Ruben Mateo was in Boston as a young player facing Pedro Martinez, and he just opened up a little too quick, probably trying to overcompensate for not being able to catch up with Pedro's fastball. Took a full swing at the ball, and the ball hit him right in the chest. Missed everything and hit him right in the chest. And took a full swing at it. That was okay after it happened.
Chopper up the middle, and that's a base hit. Andrus extends the hitting streak to 14 games. So he got up in the 8th inning, his 5th at bat of the night, and he came through.
Sinking fastball. Elvis, kind of a protective swing with 2 strikes, trying to put the ball in play, make some contact. And he does that. Big hole up the middle, and he found it. Struggle this inning for Mike Wright, and it started out with a walk and a hit by pitch. Since then, a double and a couple of singles.
That was great for Elvis, too. Down to the count, 0-2. Now Beltre takes a fastball for a strike. Adrian 1 for 3, hit by a pitch. He scored a run. Now, this was likely to be the Rangers' last at bat this 8th inning. The game they led handsomely. They have added to the lead. When you think about when the inning started, Elvis was due up 7th. Not a real high probability that he would get up with that chance to extend his hitting streak, but he did and got it done. Well, it's been a fun series so far for the Rangers. 28 runs in these first 2 games. Most runs in a 2-day stretch in a series since 2011. And this one up the middle. Picked up by VR. He'll throw out Beltre. The inning is done. Rangers add 3 more.
Willie Calhoun with a big hit a high fastball into left center field after a walk and a hit batter. Drove in a couple of runs. Doing a nice job for the Rangers in the last 10 games.
Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. By Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. All Rangers once again tonight, 11-3 the score. Now 9th inning. It's going to be up to Austin Bivens-Dirks. Called upon here in the 9th inning.
Kind of a comfortable spot for Austin to get an inning in. Tune it up a little bit. Stay sharp.
Well, gets the 8th and 9th place hitters, and then back up top for Jonathan VR. Jace Peterson has walked a couple of times, 0 for 1. Fly ball out to left field. Calhoun right there. And that is out number 1. With Austin Bivens-Dirks, that was part of the story last year for him. Used both as a starter and as a reliever. And really a little bit more often in relief. This is the 4th time the Rangers have used him in a relief role. Caleb Joseph. And he'll watch that one off the plate by a couple of feet. 0 for 3 tonight. Orioles got a couple of runs in the 5th. They got a run in the 6th inning tonight. And it's 1-1. The second half started. It was a real tough beginning with Cleveland and Oakland coming in here, but then Rangers hit the road and things turned. Now back it's 1-2. They swept Houston, split the 2 games in Arizona, and now a convincing win yesterday, 17-8, leading today 11-3. So things looking a little better the last week. Two and 2. Orioles, meanwhile, oof.
They still got 2 more months to play, too.
Yeah, in that division with the Yankees and the Red Sox.
And you know, they're going through the right process now. They're not going to win. They've traded players, tried to get whatever they can for them, and now they're starting over. So however bad it is right now, it's not likely to get much better for a couple of years. Hopefully there'll be some bright spots. Maybe pitchers like Evan Phillips and Cody Carroll, who have pitched in the game, will help reestablish the end of their bullpen. And they're going to have a high draft choice next year. Hopefully they'll hit on a great player and eventually be back. But it's going to be a long process. We talked about the Astros. They went through that process and lost 100 games 3 straight years with no guarantee you're ever going to get out of it. They did. But a lot of teams trying to do the same thing, and every one of them is not going to succeed.
No, and the low point for the Astros in that stretch was that year where they went 51 and 111. And I mean, that's a pretty awful season. These guys are pacing for worse. That's what's amazing to me.
Yeah.
And they didn't. This was not the year they intended.
This was a year to contend.
Game. So Jonathan VR now with 2 out. Well, VR has been a nice addition for them. They needed somebody to hold down the leadoff spot, and that's what he has done for the most part in his career. His bat at the top of the order, and 2 hits yesterday, 3 more today, so he's done a nice job for him. 1-1 the count. So ABD into that glove, the 1-1. Whoa, that was VR trying to get all 8 runs back on that one swing.
Yeah, he couldn't catch up to that ABD fastball. Swing underneath it a little bit. But he cuts back on his swing right here. Try to make some contact.
That was Carlos Gomez-esque. 1-2. Well, Austin has been such the good soldier for this team, and look at that relief appearance earlier this year. And he soaked up 11 runs. Just a good teammate move. There's a swing on this strike 3. He gets VR swinging. This one is done, and the Rangers make light work of the Orioles for the 2nd night in a row. Home debut for Ariel Urado. Picks up his 2nd victory. 11-3 our final score. Well, that was fun. We see the continuing development and acceleration of Rougned Odor with a grand slam tonight. Offensively, just another really good evening. A 7-run 4th, propelling the Rangers to the 11-3 win.
Well, the Rangers had 3 home runs in the game. They all came in the 4th inning. Joey Gallo, a similar home run to the one that he hit last night. Line drive to right field. That was Joey's 28th of the season. Gallo Chirinos, a long one down the left field line. That was his 15th of the season. And then Rougned Odor with his 12th capped off a 7-run inning with a long grand slam down the right field line. Big 7-run inning, 3 home runs in that inning. The Rangers stay hot, double-digit runs, double-digit hits.
Yep, a lot of great performances in this one, a lot of potential heroes. And the one we pick out tonight, Joey Gallo standing by with Emily Jones.
Thank you very much, Joey. You guys as a team, really since the All-Star break, have been playing pretty well. How does it feel to kind of come together offensively and as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to win games like this that aren't really nail-biters. And I think it just, you know, for our team, and at least for us offensively, I know we're in the cage every day and we're working, and we knew that we would get it. And it's just about the patience that we had and all the hard work paying off now. So, you know, just try to enjoy it while we're hot.
For you guys as young kids, you know, you see the future of this organization, then you see a guy on the mound, you know, today making his 3rd major league start. How encouraging is that for you guys to kind of see a glimpse?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's so fun to, like, look around the clubhouse and see guys that I played with in rookie ball, and just the youth we have on this team. It's really special, you know, and you know, it's kind of part of that process that we're going through right now, but you see a glimpse of it here and there. Like, we have a lot of special talented players, and they're all under 25 years old, a lot of them, besides AB. And
just had to get that in?
I had to get that in. But yeah, I mean, it's special to look around the clubhouse and see the talent we have here, and it's coming together.
For you, it's not easy moving around the field and up and down the lineup the way you have this season. Have you just, I guess, learned to embrace it as far as where you are every day in the lineup and where you're playing? Yeah,
I mean, the lineup is the lineup. I don't really care about the lineup. You know, I'm still standing in the same batter's box. It's different in the field, you know. I just kind of embrace it. I'm like a 6'5" utility guy now, so I just have to embrace that role. And, you know, I take pride in being athletic, so so I can move around the field and help guys out where they need help. So, you know, I don't mind at all.
Joey, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. We'll send it back now to you guys.
Yeah, one of the larger utility guys in the game, but he does a great job of it. Helped the Rangers today to the 11-3 win. Well, John Radigan, Mark McLemore, Pudge Rodriguez back in the studio getting ready to break this one down for you. For Tom Grieve, Emily Jones, and the whole lot of us, I'm Dave Raymond, inviting you to stay with us. More coverage of tonight's Rangers victory coming up right after this.